Capital Preservation Services, the tax planning team that helps business owners earn more and keep more.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Juniker Jewelry Store. Engagement wedding rings. It's all about Juniker. Highland Colony in Madison. They'll take care of you. Juniker Jewelry Store. Set of earrings, bracelet, necklace, but definitely engagement wedding rings, all at Juniker Jewelry Store in Madison. The Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Welcome in the crazy dude, Dave Bartoo at CFB Matrix. So were you hanging from the chandelier for New Year's Eve, Wild Man?
No, not at, well, no, I was not. It was pretty quiet. I mean, Oregon is, even pre-COVID, Oregon's never been that huge of a, I would say, a party town. So, no, it was pretty calm, and the weather, dude. The weather from like Christmas Day through New Year's, it's been raining. It's really been. We've had this spell of nasty weather, and it was so bad I couldn't even have my my holiday tailgate.
Oh,
because as you know, every national holiday, whether it's New Year's or Christmas or Thanksgiving or, I count Halloween, actually any reason to drink, really. But I pop the tailgate on the truck and I park it down at the bottom of the driveway, and I bring out the portable fire pit, and, it's open bar and open fire for that entire day, starting in the morning. Weather permitting, obviously. And it's been a long time since we've had to cancel. I don't ever remember having to cancel both. So it's been a little bit more duck and cover here, and fortunately was able to watch a few bowl games instead of sitting outside by the fire drinking.
yeah. Matt Campbell took your Oregon Ducks to the woodshed.
Oh, I don't know if he really did that much. I mean, if what was it, a 17-point game and you have a 5-0 turnover margin?
Mm.
I mean, come on. That when you look at it from that standpoint, it's like, well, okay. But they did get smacked around something fierce by a mid-40s recruiter.
All right. Well, that takes me to Steve Sarkisian to Texas. What do you think about the hire?
It'll be an improvement. How much of an improvement? I have no idea. I kind of have Texas lumped in there with the Michigans and Tennessees of the world, in that these are over the last 40 years. Maybe you could probably throw Georgia in there. I mean, Georgia's last national title was, 1980?
Yeah.
So in the last 40 years, basically, okay, last 40 years, I think Texas, Michigan, Tennessee, and Georgia each have one national title, okay, which is more than most programs, Ducks included. But these are also all top 15 recruiters over the last 40 years. Even though we don't have the recruiting numbers going back, we know in the last 20 years they're at least there. So these programs are kind of all in, I wouldn't say the exact same position because Georgia is winning more football games, but that Texas, that Michigan, that Tennessee, they're in this like 2-decade doldrum of just churning through coaches and churning through players and churning through recruiting classes and really just not going anywhere. And so I kind of blame lack of performance more on what's going on behind the curtain we can't see. Mm-hmm. So, do I think Steve could do a great job? Yeah, I do. Okay. Or at least a better job than what Tom did. He has that opportunity, but at the same time, you look at what Steve's done. In my coach effect numbers, he has never had a season in which he has outperformed the talent he has. Never. Okay. He has a career, 58% winning percentage, let's just call it 60%. Okay, at Texas you're looking for 80%. He's at 60. Now, you got to consider he was at Washington, the number 2 recruiter in that entire division. He was at USC, the number 1 recruiter in that division, the number 1 recruiter in that conference, and he wasn't at 60%. So, he's obviously going to have the opportunity. I think he's going to put together a good staff based on what I've been reading so far. But the combination of the program and a guy who really hasn't proven to win at an elite level anywhere. There's no elite winning anywhere for him at any of his stops in spite of elite talent. So while it's a good hire, he's an excellent recruiter. He is an excellent offensive coordinator. As a head coach, I think they could have done a better job.
Dave Bartoo at CFB Matrix on Twitter. He joins us on the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale guest line. Has Texas hired a has Sarkisian hired a defensive coordinator yet, Blake? Okay. All right. So I guess you're keeping an eye on that, right, Dave?
Yeah, it's kind of the same message that we would talk about every time on the show is, okay, we look at the head coach, but we hold our breath. Let's see where it goes in terms of the coordinators. Good example last year when we talked about let's see what Arkansas does with Sam Pittman with 2 really good offensive and defensive a good combo there. Actually, one of the things I was hearing that Texas was going after Barry Odom and trying to steal them from Arkansas is getting picked apart. I think Shane just took their wide receiver coach.
Yeah. For our listeners, that's Shane Beamer at South Carolina. Go ahead, Bartoo.
Yeah, he grabbed the wide receiver coach, which was their best recruiter. When you look at the numbers, so he stole their best recruiter. I don't know how good a coach he is, but I know he's a really good wide receiver recruiter, which is super important. Recruit from the outside in, and now they're going after the DC, and I guess that's one of the problems when you're the worst recruiter in a division. If you got good coaches, people can come steal your guys. So. Right. We'll see where it goes. I like it from the standpoint is you have an elite offensive coordinator as your head coach and a good recruiter. But let's see where the staff goes from there.
Yeah, Blake, do you have?
Well, I just wanted to ask Dave. You said that they're somewhat negligible in terms of Sark and Herman. So if you're going to pay $25 million, as someone so aptly put it on Twitter, which I thought was hilarious, firing Herman to hire Sarkisian is like driving past Chili's to eat at Applebee's. So who would have been the Kessler Prime hire if Sarkisian is just another Applebee's?
Oh wow.
Again at Texas though, what is the right hire? Is there one? It's hard to say with that, but to me, if you're hiring a guy to try to win an elite level, hire a guy that has proven to be able to do that. Hire a guy that has won conference championships other places. Hire that guy that is rocket ship no matter where he's at. My best example of elite at every stop. Or at least one of them that always comes to mind is Urban Meyer. Okay, everybody knows about Urban Meyer at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows about Urban Meyer at Florida. A lot of people know about Urban Meyer at Utah. He walked in at Utah, immediate winner. When he left, they were 13-0 and just beat Alabama. Okay, before that, he was at Bowling Green. Walked into Bowling Green, immediate impact, immediately turned it around, turned that program into a rocket ship. That's the kind of guy that if I'm Texas, if I am Georgia, if I'm Alabama, if I am Ohio State, if I'm USC, if I have this elite, if I'm crawling with elite talent, I want an elite coach. And to me, an elite coach has been elite everywhere he goes. When he steps into that program, it immediately turns. Not 2 years from now, not 3 years from now, not 4 years from now, right now. And that's kind of rule of thumb for me in terms of evaluating coaches. is, given their past stops, how long does it take them to turn a program? You know, your ultra great coaches, your elite guys, it's no more than 2 years. Okay, your very good coaches is 3. Your decent coaches is 4. Your bad coaches, they go the wrong way right at the beginning. You know, so I look at Sarkisian. He really never turned Washington around. Now, a lot of people go, oh, well, they were 0-12. They were 0-12 with top 25 recruiting. The year he took over, an average coach should have took that team to 6-6. He was 5-7. He was an average coach there. You know, he didn't do anything special at Washington, didn't do anything special at USC. Why are you expecting him to do something special at Texas?
Right. So who would fit that criteria outside of Urban?
Let's look at some of the names that we know really, really well. You know, right in your backyard, you look at least at one program, you look at what Napier has done, okay? This is now I'd love to see him somewhere in the Power 5 before I'd call him, put him in that discussion. But here's a guy who has turned that program around, not only with wins and losses, but recruiting. They're recruiting at the highest level they've been at. They're winning at the highest level consistently. I'm shocked he hasn't jumped up to something else. Unless there's something waiting in the wings already, I'm surprised it hasn't moved up with something like that. You look at Matt Campbell, solid at Toledo, extremely good at Iowa State. You know, each one of these stops, they're getting better and making the programs much better. So, you know, those are a couple of guys that come to mind right off the top of my head.
Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show. He joins us on the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale guest line. What you would be very skeptical hiring Will Muschamp as a defensive coordinator. One, he hasn't called plays in a while. Two, he was the chief for so long. You know, would he be willing to be an assistant, right?
Exactly. You know, I kind of equate it to Lions. You know, in a pride of Lions, there's one big dude. Okay, you can't have multiple. There's no the man. There's no the Lions in a pride. It's one, and they fight it out, and there's always one leader, and everybody else is on the outside. And I see Will Muschamp. He wants to be the man. And so don't ever underestimate the draw of once a head coach, they want to be a head coach again. They all do. Not a little bit, all of them. Mm-hmm. You know, so once they get, maybe there's some exceptions out there, but once they get to be a head coaches want to stay a head coach. So with a Will Muschamp, if you hire him, you have to hire a Will Muschamp or any of these guys with the understanding that on a daily basis they are looking to become a head coach. Now, are you comfortable with your job where they're not going after yours? Because if you're not, you don't hire him, okay? And are you comfortable knowing that he's going to get, if I'm hiring Will Muschamp, I need to know two things. He's going to give me Will Muschamp, elite defensive coordinator, and he's not going to undermine my program trying to get my job.
Right.
Okay? So if you're not comfortable with that, okay, you don't hire him, all right? So, and it's not just Will. It's probably a lot of these guys. Now, there's a lot of them out there that I've worked with that are great coordinators wanting to become head coaches again. They don't undermine the program they're at, but the head coach is aware these guys are looking to go.
Sure.
So whether it's Will or any of these guys, understand they want to be a head coach again.
Okay, if you could pick anybody for Steve Sarkisian, DC, who would you pick?
Pick anybody for Steve Sarkisian, DC, who, something I think they're going to go with Kevin Steele. Okay, and here's why, because I think it's all going to be rooted in recruiting. He is a phenomenal recruiter as well. And Texas, the ADs made it specifically clear that he was really disappointed watching all these Texas kids leave Texas.
Sure.
I think the focus is going to be more about recruiting than winning the first couple of years. But don't get me wrong, winning should be there. Okay, I'll get to this in a second, but I think when you look at best combination of maybe elite recruiter and defensive coordinator, it might be Kevin. Now, what did we just talk about with Will? Wants to be a big lion. Are you comfortable with the job? I don't think Kevin Steele's going into Texas and taking Steve Sarkisian's job. So it's an opportunity for him to prove himself to try to get that head coaching position that he so I don't know, desperately wants, so covets. So to me, that's kind of, I think that's going to be the focus there. On the flip side, getting back to Texas, though, and winning, understand this. This is a top 10 recruiter. This team was top 25 in total scoring efficiency. The cupboard is not bare. There is no downside to this. This team better come out swinging and winning early. Anything less than top 25 every year going forward, to me, is a phenomenal disappointment, including next year. There should be no step back. He is walking into a phenomenal situation of good coaching, scoring efficiency, and talent at Texas.
Wow. I mean, it's a gold mine job. It's just a matter, if you can get it rolling again. Mac Brown had it rolling for a second, but then, there was a lot of underachieving around it. But, I mean, your only big boy, your only other top, what is Oklahoma? A top 10 or 12?
Yeah, right there. They're both
Okay.
about the same thing. Let's just, we'll just call them 8 to 12. They are fringe elite. They're fringe national championship contender type of talent. Okay, it takes special coaching and a special NFL quarterback to lead that kind of program, that 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 recruiter. It's going to take an NFL quarterback and some really good coaching, offense and defensive coaching around it to win a national title, but it's doable, okay? It's not impossible.
Clemson's done it. Auburn's done it.
That's it.
Okay.
Stop. I mean, literally. No, I'm not kidding. Full stop. Teams that are not single-digit recruiters that have won a national title. Cam Newton, Deshaun Watson.
God, they're great players. Wow.
Okay, that's it. But that's where the list stops. Okay, so when you're looking to bet on a team to win the national title, for example, okay, and they are a Texas that is, let's say, the number 10 recruiter coming in, is that an NFL quarterback? If the answer is no, then it's a bad bet. Okay, could they win it? Sure. Trends are made to be broken, all right? But this century, we have gone 21 consecutive years in which a single-digit recruiter has won the national title 19 out of 21 times. The other 2 times, I had the recruiter at number 10, Auburn, and number 14, Clemson. Those 2 times, it was a first-round NFL quarterback that led them. Okay? And that's it. So when you're making that bet, anytime in the future, and they're not a single-digit elite recruiter, and we all know pretty much who they are, if there's not an NFL quarterback there, you just don't bet them.
All right, so Bartoo, we don't have enough time here to get into everything I want, unfortunately. Real quick, recruiting, okay?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the top 5 recruiters right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? And basically, Alabama signed 22, 4 and 5, Ohio State 18, Georgia 15, Clemson 17, and LSU 17, 4 and 5 star players.
Yep.
I get the sense that after the first 5 or 6 teams, there's a pretty steep drop, even getting into the 8, 10, 12 range. Bartoo?
And that's pretty much the way it always is. It just depends on the teams that are rotating in and out of there. It's funny because it's like people are like, well, this is the way it always is. No, it's not. Dude, 10 years ago, that was Florida State and USC. Everybody thinks college football doesn't change that much, and year to year it doesn't. But over time, it changes a lot.
Right.
Teams get powerful and they move in and out of things. Florida State can't even make a bowl game right now. USC is nowhere near their top 5. I mean, USC, people don't understand. USC was Alabama the first decade of this century. They should have won every other national title, if not more. They were vastly undercoached by Pete Carroll and those offensive and defensive coordinators. They blew an opportunity when they had it. So, college football does change. It just takes a long time, and I want it right now that a lot of times we can't see it. But, yeah, I agree with you. And you look at the national title winners, like I said, all of them are single-digit recruiters. So once you get outside of that top 10, you better find an NFL quarterback if you want to win a national title.
All right, we've got a couple of minutes here. We just had someone text in. They want you to compare the Ole Miss class to the Mississippi State class. I'll simplify it for you. Ole Miss right now is 19th. Mississippi State is 34th. Ole Miss has a total of 224 points on 247. Okay. Mississippi State has a total of 200 points. Ole Miss's average player is 87.5, Bartoo. Mississippi State's is 86.4. Is there a big gap there? Is it a penny, nickel? How would you frame that up?
Well, number one, when I look at those, I don't just look at 247. I'll grab rivals as well. Nobody else. But I think one of the things that we got to consider too is transfer portal this year is enormous. Attrition is going to be very different because there's a lot of guys that are going to be able to come back. From a class standpoint, that is a significant gap. Not a huge gap. It's a significant one. If you would have said Ole Miss is at 20 and Mississippi State's at 29-30, to me that's a negligible gap. That is a home field advantage kind of gap. So as it stands right now with just those numbers, that is a decent margin, but not a terrible one right now. And certainly you got this little later signing period come up. National Signing Day has already gone by, but really National Signing Day is for your top 10, 15 recruiters. There's still a lot of players out there. So we'll see how that goes for the rest of the signing period going into February.
Okay. All right. Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show. You nailed the NFL QB stuff for at least a couple of classes recently because you want them to have a positive QB effect and elevate the people around them. Justin Herbert was magnificent this year for the LA Chargers. Real quick, I got a minute or so. Trevor Lawrence, I got 30 seconds. Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, your thoughts?
He's elevated the program. Okay, so I think he's going to be above average there. My guy that I'm circling though is Wilson at BYU. That's my pick out of this entire class. I think that's going to be the guy that has the chance to try to get somebody to a Super Bowl in his first 5 years. Because if you don't do it in your first 5 years, unless you give a Brady discount, you probably ain't ever going to do it.
Bam. We'll leave it there at CFB Matrix. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Dave Bartoo on the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale guest line. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Thanks for listening to the show. If you missed any of the show, hit the podcast on Apple Podcast. Search The Out of Bounds Show. And the show is also brought to you by Boar's Head. For all your deli meat, cheeses, and hummus, it's Boar's Head. You can find